Nice! Okay.
See that? I like that. Is this close enough?
Just thinking about the
microphone, I mean.
Oh, the microphone. Yeah. Okay. We can bring this here. Yeah. No, this picks up a lot. And if not, what I did with the other video, I just had to bump it up a little bit.
Yeah, I usually do that anyway. That's gonna be annoying though. You hear that?
Yeah.
That's gonna be really annoying.
It's alright. I mean, it's not like you can turn it off.
No.
So like,
yeah.
Just gotta fucking deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
Shouldn't have even brought it up. Now that I think about it.
You want to do a big clap? Nice.
Everybody loves home. Alright, go ahead. Alright, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna say some shit. Be like,
I'm gonna go. Blobben, breeben, blobben. Bin blobben, breeben. Bin braben.
Skrieben, lieben, laben, duben. Lieben, laben.
Skripen! Dann Stiefen, Fach und Trost. Jangam, Prieken, Stinkern und Juden, Garzen.
Turn from like Danish to German really quick.
I gotta see.
Alright.
Sorry, I just spit everywhere. How did Hitler do it? That should be facing up.
Yeah, you are correct. There we go. Alright. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Come on, out with it.
Out with it then. It's a bit of an interview, isn't it?
Welcome to my channel.
We trade roles. I'm Hano.
Hi, I'm Matt. Korea. Medicine. Shut up.
Oh my god, look at that aperture. I'm such a film guy.
I don't. Fuck you. Okay, go ahead.
I'm a filmographer.
Do the intro.
Okay. Thank you. Hano.
Oh yeah.
Hano.
I can't believe. I'm so sorry.
Honestly.
So embarrassing. It's just because I'm so nervous about this. So nervous about what we're doing.
Okay. I'm gonna stop moving.
Fucking start! Bro, I'm waiting!
Okay. Today we've got another very special video for you with another one of my very good friends today with Hano. We are going to be talking a little bit more along the lines of, you know, an ode to the adventure of excellence or the inescapable, the inescapable, what's the word?
It's your video, bro.
The inescapable...
Oh yeah, what are you trying to say? Oh god. You better cut that out. The inescapable...
Paradoxes of existence.
Paradoxes of existence.
If it couldn't be said in a more pretentious way. I think I'm just
roll the ball, get it rolling.
Let's just start again.
Because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about so far, so you have to give me prompts.
No. I'll ask you a question, don't worry. Okay.
The inescapable paradoxes! Bro, what are we doing?
Calm down, man. We're just gonna ease into it.
Take two. Action.
Today we've got another very special video for you with my... What are you laughing at, God?
Go ahead, don't stop. Bro, don't stop. You shouldn't be stopping. This isn't a corporate tutorial video. Just keep going.
It's true.
Go ahead, take three.
Take three.
Action.
So today we've got another very special very special conversation with one of my very dear friends. Today it is with Hano. So, Hano, please tell the people what you're up to, what you do, and...
where to begin, Matthew? Where to begin? I am so busy, so always. Okay, I'm going to take this seriously. My name is Hano. I'm a filmmaker, writer director. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'm sure he'll put all the links in the description. So please.
So
Yeah.
So today I wanted to kind of get this going so that we can kind of talk a little bit more about some of the intersecting features of the kind of content we make, but also the philosophy that we have around, life, living, and the priorities that we take. And I think one of the biggest intersections we've found is that we're both, very much aligned with this pursuit of excellence and this desire to wanting to kind of do our best, be our best, and provide the best kind of work we possibly can. For you, how do you go about thinking about this process, this adventure towards excellence?
That's a good question, Matt.
Thanks, Hano.
Wow, it's a big one, huh?
I like to start with the easy ones, and then we'll get onto the hard ones later.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
So, say that again. How do I approach the adventure towards excellence?
Yeah. That pursuit of wanting to be your best and do your best.
I just think it starts with self-awareness. And I don't really believe in motivation and all that sort of, crap. Where it's like you can't do work unless you watch a montage about Will Smith and In Pursuit of Happiness saying, you gotta dream and believe.
Yeah.
It's like if you're not willing to do it in the first place, then that video isn't going to change anything. It might make you write a paragraph or two if you're a writer, but it's not going to get you, it's not going to bring victory. It's not going to bring excellence.
No.
So I think it starts with self-awareness. So you have to realize how good you are at the thing you want to be doing. And I think you can find out how good you are at the thing you want to be doing pretty early. Because I think most talent is innate. Not to say you're born with it, but you're more inclined to it.
Sure.
Like some people are more inclined to use their fingers and become a bass player, a guitar player,
Right.
Whereas some people couldn't, pick up a banjo for the life of them.
Right.
So you have to start with being self-aware. First, you have to decide what you want to do, what your objective is, what your why is. Everyone says why. What's your why? Why? Figure out your objective. For me, in my case, it's writer, director, filmmaker. And then you have to follow that up with self-awareness. So you start doing the thing and you have to be completely truthful with yourself at how good you are at that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the sooner you realize your potential, whether it's dirt or, the gates of heaven, everything in between that, the sooner you realize where you stand, the sooner you can get to your excellence. Or the sooner you can move on and find a new why. Because I feel like a lot of people say, I'm going to be the best musician ever. I'm going to be the best producer. I'm going to make the greatest beats of all time.
Yep.
And that's my why. I'm going to make the greatest beats of all time. And then they start making beats and they're not very good naturally, but then they keep doing it and they're still not very good. And because they're so stubborn and arrogant, and because they've seen so many of those videos of you never give up no matter what, you gotta push through, they just stay there in mediocrity.
Yeah, right.
Whereas I think the first step to before you even consider the word excellence, consider the word, just good. Not excellent, good. What am I good at?
Yeah.
And then discover that, and because you discover that, then you're allowed to. Then you're given permission to even consider excellence.
Right.
People skip step 1 and 2. They're like, "What do you want to do? Be excellent at that." It's first figure out what you want to do.
You have to get the license to be able to.
Yeah, definitely.
Go on that path.
Yeah,
first.
It's not just, I know this is a free market. Anyone can be everything and everyone can be everyone. But, this rain's so nice.
That's alright. Very cinematic.
Yeah, it's raining outside. Just so you know. Just so you.
For the people at home.
For the people at home.
It is raining outside.
Ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I know it's a free market, and the way we're raised is whatever you want to do, you can do it if you do it to the best of your. But some people can't do something. Most people can't do most things.
Right.
So.
Hot take.
Sorry.
Hot take.
Very hot take. So such a hot take.
Steaming hot
these days. So find out what it is you know, it's a Venn diagram. What you love doing and what you're capable of doing. And then that little hole in the middle, it probably has like 3-4 careers if we are talking about job. Maybe it's just a hobby that you want to be excellent at. It doesn't have to be your life's work. But within that little intersection is a handful of potential craft.
Sure.
And I think that's step one in regards to the adventure of excellence. Right.
Do you think that a lot of the time people can get, persuaded by their environment or, a particular individual or, as you said, kind of the content that they see, that they feel as though they should be doing something instead of simply doing something that they deep down kind of have like a yearning to do, or that they have an interest in but they don't explore because of some other kind of societal pressure or reasoning, and that can kind of lead these people to just keep trying with something that's not working? Or do you think there's something else that leads people down that track?
Down the track of
going towards something that is not working for them, that is kind of continuing to be unsuccessful, and they can see it as being unsuccessful, but they, for whatever reason, decide that they just have to keep going regardless of the feedback that they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where's the distinction point between working hard enough to get to a point of proficiency, and then the tipping point of it no longer being worth it, do you think?
Yeah, and that's a tough question.
Yeah, I told you I start with the easy ones, and then
that's a tough question right there, because that's such a personal decision.
Yeah.
Hustle culture, all this bullshit that says something not working for some reason these days equals failure. Whereas most things don't work, and that's not a failure per se.
Yeah.
But I mean, it can be in some cases. Something not working is a failure on your part because you weren't smart enough, you weren't working hard enough. But I feel like, this whole, as much as I love Gary Vee and all this stuff, there's all that Gary Vee culture where it's like, throw your mum off a bridge in order to be successful, kick a toddler in the face. If it makes you successful, do it.
Right.
Not saying he says that stuff, but you know what I mean. I'm being hyperbolic. All right?
This is true.
All right?
Hano, the hyperbolic man.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's if you're one of the few determined to succeed in the end of the day, and that are going to succeed in the end of the day, you also will happen to be one of the people with enough humility to tell yourself, oh, I pursued this for 4 or 5 years. It's not working out. Let me jump ship, swim to that island, see what's there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're stubborn, you're just going to go down with the ship. And if you go down with the ship, sure, there's like a lot of, dignity with that, but you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the end of the day, you're still dead. You might be a captain, but you're dead.
A dead captain.
Yeah, you're a dead captain.
I love the point that you brought up about how it's so easy for people to take, something not working as a failure that's not only just an isolated failure, but that it can also be, reflected back onto them in their own self-image of, I'm a failure. because I fucked that up.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
when that happens, it is only negative. It only makes for a worse scenario, because then you're much less likely to try again. You're much less likely to kind of have another at-bat to try to make something new work.
Right.
Right? And in that way, I really do firmly believe in the quote of you either win or you learn. You know, you're either, you know, doing something that is working out, that kind of is producing the kind of results that you're seeking, or instead you're, you know, figuring out all the ways that it's not working to then be able to get closer and closer to a way that will eventually work. But the people that stop themselves short because they feel like they're failing in that kind of very stereotypical sense are less likely to be able to pivot like sufficiently to get to a place where they're able to actually have that success in whatever way they define that to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've actually been thinking about this a lot recently, because I've met quite a few people since moving to Melbourne that are very determined people that are willing to, you know, trudge through the mud to get what they want to get. But then you look at what they're trying to achieve, whether, you know, they're creatives or intellectuals, and they're just not very good at it. So I don't have an answer to this, but it's a question that's recently been, you know, cracked open in my mind. Like, what do you do with those people? Like, they're so determined. Nietzsche said, anyone with a strong enough why can overbear any how, something along those lines. But can they really? Just because they really, really want it and they're really, really dedicated to it, it doesn't necessarily make them... That's not enough. You have to be good at it too. Really good if you want to get to certain careers. Yeah. I
think it's definitely an interesting question that I've thought about a lot, and that I've kind of played around with over the years, on, you know, what are people capable of? And I generally lean towards the understanding that people are a lot more capable than they at least give themselves credit for a lot of the time. I do recognize, and I do think it is important to take into account that we're not entitled to any particular career path or any particular success or any particular results. Like, we're not... I feel like the people that are so doggedly on that feel as though just because they work exceptionally hard, they're entitled to something.
Right.
Whereas I feel like there is that extra aspect of you need to be working not only extremely hard, but you need to be working like extremely precisely and in a way that is leading towards something that is actually going to be beneficial for you and that works out with your kind of particular, you know, eccentricities, your skill sets, your understanding of the world, more so than just this fixed mindset that I have to succeed.
Yeah, determination can only get you so far.
And it's fantastic.
And
but
it is
only
fantastic.
goes so far.
Yeah. It's either, most of the time, it's either people have one or the other. They have the skill but no determination, or they have determination and no skill.
Yeah.
And it's a tragedy both ways. Because it's like, wow, you can play the violin like that, but you can't speak to a stranger.
Yeah.
Too bad. Because that's what you're going to have to do in order to get...
being able to get out into the world, to being able to actually get out.
Exactly.
Get that stuff around.
Or it's the opposite. Man, you have a silver tongue, you can talk to anyone, get anywhere, but you have nothing to say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why it's so special when you find yourself or you find another individual that has these kind of intersecting or these combining skills.
Right.
That then kind of synergistically give you more value that you can provide than either single skill by themselves as component pieces of that equation.
Right.
And these skills that you can develop, I feel like usually the best mixes is one of soft and hard. You know, having both so that you're able to not only provide in a very like kind of technical sense, but then you also have the awareness an understanding of how that lands in that kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in my kind of context, obviously biomedical engineering being more my, technical kind of skill set that I'm wanting to push towards and develop further and further. But then also having this that I really enjoy to do and that I really find to be fulfilling and useful.
Right.
Those two kind of intersecting skills work in perfectly for, let's say like a startup or some kind of business company scenario.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to take the skills that you have, the hard skills, and be able to present that to another individual.
Right.
So then they are able to, receive to the fullest extent that you're able to convey what you're capable of doing.
Right.
And so you're more likely then to being able to have a, opportunity with that person.
Yeah, it's like unlocking all the parts of yourself. Because within us we have our tough self, our soft self, our intellectual, our creative self, and like you said, through exposure to other types of people, you can sort of expose new types of you, like yourself.
And I recently made a video on this talking about trying to integrate more things that I like to call micro habits of we have these hobbies, we have these things that we want to do, that we like to do, that we get a lot of value from, but we don't find ourselves have enough time to do them consistently because we're highly ambitious individuals. We want to be working constantly, like as much as we possibly can, because we need to meet that quota of working really hard, alongside, as we were talking about before. But I think in that same kind of way of developing yourself into those maybe deeper distinctions of yourself, that differentiation of your own particular flavor or taste of who you are, can help with that. So again, I'll speak on my case of what I mentioned in the video about how I have these more technical things, but then doing a little bit of piano, learning some Korean, taking some photos. These things don't need to take up hours and hours every single day. If we can set aside little chunks of time just to make 1% improvement, or just to keep consistently kind of doing something in that context, then that may allow us to, not only feel more confident in ourselves, feel like we are more self-reliant and resilient when, social climates might change, but it also allows us to investigate more particularly on our own interests and our own eccentricities.
Yeah.
Do you think the same?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And that's probably the way, through those micro habits and micro interests, the way, especially as a teenager or a kid, you discover what it is you want to do. You do so much, you spray and pray, and then one of it just lands. But then if you've already discovered what it is you want to do, like you have, or like I have, you don't want to stop doing things.
Yeah.
That doing things that especially have nothing to do with your field. Like you're learning piano. What is that? What correlation does that have? But it really does.
Yeah.
Or learning Korean, etc., etc. It's like Steve Jobs, for example. Oh, nice. Yeah, Steve Jobs, for example.
That's heavy.
Yeah, man, it's pretty heavy.
That's right.
Steve Jobs, for example, he was what? Like, he owned the largest computer company on the planet. It's now probably the biggest company on the planet today, right? Or is it Amazon?
One of
them.
Yeah.
It's a computer company, so you'd expect him to wear button-up shirt, have glasses, hunched over. But no, he would meditate on the regular. He would drop LSD on the regular. Things that have nothing to do with microchips and data points.
Do you think Steve Wozniak would have been able to make Apple without Steve Jobs?
Oh no, absolutely not. And he's the first to admit that.
Exactly not.
Yeah.
But he's that guy. He seems to be that more stereotypical person you would think would start that company.
The left brain.
Yeah, but you kind of need both of those kind of components to make something work.
Because
optimally.
Woz is like I can do anything.
Yeah.
When it comes to computers, I can make anything out of anything.
Yeah.
You give me a sponge and a toothbrush, I'll make a computer out of it. Like, I'm just a magician that way.
Yeah.
But I don't really have the new ideas. Like, I have ideas to a certain point, but when it comes to innovation,
the direction at which things are going, the vision,
like outside of the box sort of thinking.
Sure.
That's where Steve Jobs, and I'm not too familiar with this, so don't be like, well, actually, Steve Wozniak, shut up. Whereas Steve Jobs, I mean, he went on, retreats in India when he was in his 20s, when he was still a millionaire.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to go to India, I'm not going to wear shoes, I'm going to be vegetarian, I'm not going to eat meat.
He would also have these interesting eccentricities where he would like only eat like carrots for like a couple weeks or
always
something.
Experimenting.
Yeah.
Always experimenting. Yeah. And then, those two, you can call them two sides of the brain, clash and make this mega mind that is Apple.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said, that is sitting and doing this, that has nothing to do with a computer or an interface or,
these technical
an OS.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the technicality, but it's so necessary for its success. It was so necessary for its success. And you look at Phil Jackson, the coach of the 90s Chicago Bulls and 2000s Los Angeles Lakers, both championship winning teams, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. This guy coached giants of the NBA. And one thing he would do during training is he would, instead of, drills and drills and drills, he would hire a Tai Chi coach.
Yeah.
And he's like, everyone come in, take your shoes off, stand on these soft yoga mats, these big athletes.
Yeah.
And he's like, just shut up for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And just follow the small Chinese woman's guide of how to do this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, the correlation isn't logical. Me doing this quietly with all these 7-foot giants.
Yeah.
How is that going to win us a championship? But it did.
Do you think that process of bringing together those two kind of components in the example of Apple is this process we're talking about, but in our own minds? We're trying to take this left brain and right brain of our brain and making them work together. And so if we are to only focus on one, let's say if we're only to focus on the technical, if we're only to focus on doing things in that way, sure, we can become a specialist and whatever, and we can kind of dig deeper and deeper, and that's all great. Or the other way, sure, we can like specialize in talking, whether we're not really having anything to say.
Right.
But would you say that it's that kind of integration of the two that leads to us having more potential...
Excellence. That's what leads to excellence.
Yeah.
To go back to what you said.
More chance at kind of attaining that excellence.
Yeah. It's like... it's like the goal should be matrimony. Your left and your right should be like, we're one and the same now.
Yeah. Because
we know how to use each other.
Yeah. It's like, I heard, I can't remember who the quote is from. Maybe it's like Jocko Willink or something like that, where he talks about how, you have to use your discipline when your emotional side is being weak to kind of keep you doing things. And then when your discipline gets weak, you use your emotions to kind of come back in and to keep you doing what you need to be doing.
Yeah, right. It's like people think, for example, think of a very creative person, Pablo Picasso. When you think of him, he's a painter.
Yeah.
Painters are like the stereotypical creative person.
Sure.
And then Pablo Picasso, being one of the greatest painters in history, would be one of the greatest creatives in history.
Sure.
So you would think he is all right brain. All right brain. None of that left brain shit. None of that.
Sure.
All right brain. He wakes up, he's like, oh, I have inspiration. He runs to a canvas,
straight away.
throws a bucket, just boom, boom, boom. But no, he had a regimented routine. Every day he would wake up at this time. He had a secretary who would keep his books. He had meetings in certain places, would eat at the same place, would meet with friends at certain time. Because without that routine, guided by the left brain, he wouldn't give permission for his right brain to reign free when it needed to, when he was sitting there in front of the canvas.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just chaos, 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 you get these losers that make utter, garbage
Yeah.
and call it my art, but they don't know how to do their taxes.
Yeah.
They don't know how to look at a train schedule. They're always late. It's like it's a matrimony. You have to guide both sides of who you are. You can't say, I'm not going to consider. It's like all these kids starting clothing brands these days.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you have to consider how many sales you're going to make each month. You can't just be like, oh, slap a logo on it, put some cool music, and then make a video. It's like, yeah, that's cool. That's creative. Good for you. That's cool. And your logo looks cool too. It is very creative. But what's your marketing schedule looking like? Do you have social media pages? Are you going to do an app or manually upload your stuff?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we just want to be creative to begin. It's like, no, it's not. Both. You need both. And hopefully you can find that in a business partner, but most of these kids just do it on their own. You have to be your own business partner.
I mean, or it's like a group of friends that are all identical.
Yeah, they're all the same, and they're all utilizing one side of the brain. So it's like you have half the people there. You might as well, cut half of them because you're not using all their brains.
No, I agree, and I think, in that way, it really does lend itself to this. The reason why I phrase it of like the adventure towards excellence is obviously we're never gonna necessarily get to the point of attaining that, bar of that perfect excellence. It's always going to be this asymptotic improvement, right? Where we're never going to quite get there. But if we keep doing the right things and keep progressing and developing, then we're going to get to the furthest extent that we're possible of achieving, and that will translate into the best results, not only for ourselves, but for those around us, and for those in our environment, and for those people that might be impacted by our work.
Right.
More so than just, my own selfish, I want to be creative. Here, take my creative. More so than taking it into account of how that actually fits into this kind of scape, this world.
Right.
And so I think another, idea that would be interesting to touch on is we've had conversations in the past about how there seems to be a lot of paradoxes that the kind of world has kind of interlaced into it that you can't really see that well until you experience it or encounter it in some other kind of way, or be it an older brother telling you about something and then that coming to fruition when you find yourself in that situation. There are these kind of situations where they don't seem like it would make sense. It doesn't seem like in the context of, let's say, wanting to get a girlfriend, right? Or really wanting to get the validation or approval of a friend or a professor or whatever it might be. It wouldn't make sense to say something like, well, what you should do if that's what you're wanting is to simply live your life the best you can and then offer opportunities to like interact with you at certain points and leave it there. That doesn't seem on the surface, at least from a naive perspective, to be like what you should do. Because obviously you want to like push, you want to like,
there's no immediacy.
Yeah, I want to get this. And so in that way, you're like, I'm wanting to do this right now. And you try to do all this stuff, but in reality, that can paradoxically be the thing that pushes you further away from that end.
Right. So pretty much what you're saying is let go, right? In regards to anything that you want, let go of it. And then with the right work, with the, like, what are you saying?
So I think it's very easy for us to take the first perspective that we come up with in our mind as accurate and as valid.
Right.
But once we gain a little bit more experience in the things that we do, we realize, oh shit, this thing that I'm pushing so hard towards, because I think it's going to get me something that I actually want, might actually result in getting us the exact opposite, the antithesis. It's like, I saw this quote, this just thing online, wherever, someone showed it to me, and it's in the context of a dog. The dog really wants to have the chocolate that you've got. It thinks that it's going to be the best thing ever, and it's crawling up your leg, and it's really making its best effort to get that chocolate from you. But you know that if that dog eats that chocolate, that it's going to get sick, and it's going to be a bad thing for it. It's going to be a negative experience that won't reap any positive benefits from it, other than hopefully realizing that it shouldn't have chocolate again. But this idea is that we are the dog in the situation, and we are scratching up the leg to try to get something that looks like we want, that looks like an ideal that we should have, but because of our lack of experience or perspective or understanding of the nature of that reality, we are only going towards something that is ultimately going to hurt us.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Do you have any situations in your life where that has kind of come through for you, that you've seen that play out for yourself or another person?
I mean, I've always been like, there are certain things that I want in my life, and I can dispense of the things I've just tricked myself into wanting. So it filters everything I want down to what I just really want. My core wants.
Yeah.
If you call it that.
Yeah.
And because I did that process, the filtration process, now I'm so confident in those very few things that I really want, that I'm at a point where I feel now it's just inevitable. Now, if I just keep going the way I'm going, I'll get them eventually. Yeah. So there's no neediness, because it's like I've pre-ordered it.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's like, yeah, sure, I don't have it now, but I've already pre-ordered it. I'm going to get it in like 2 years, 10 years, 20 years time, because I've already put my money down.
And it's through that filtration process that you're able to find the thing, or at least the area of things that you're wanting to kind of push towards in that way.
Yeah. I mean, like, at one point I may have wanted the chocolate. Yeah. And I may have been a little piece of shit to everybody, because I'm like, I want the chocolate. I want the chocolate. It's the thing that I want. I know you're telling me it's bad for me, but I want it. I want the chocolate. Yeah. And then through the nature of wanting, you don't usually get. Yeah. Unless you're a spoiled little brat. That's a story for another time.
Another story time.
Usually don't get it, and then you usually realize, why the hell did I want that in the first place?
Exactly right.
And it's all about narratives. It's like, okay, you're 20 blah blah years old. You should have a steady relationship by now. You're 30 blah blah years old. Why don't you have a job? Why don't you have job security now? It's like,
where's your house?
Where's your house? Where's your mortgage? Blah blah has 3 kids. Yeah. And you don't even have a girlfriend. Yeah. It's just narratives of chocolate, candy,
shiny objects.
A shiny object, a new shirt, this car, that job, this title, this many subscribers, this many followers, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah. It's just narrative.
I think also something really important about that filtering process is that it requires an amount of investment to get to that point. Right. And obviously keeping in mind, not wanting to, have the trap of falling into that kind of fallacy of being overinvested, right? And then just sticking out because you're invested. I think the golden part of this process is that because we go through so many iterations of fucking it up so many times, that then once we get to this kind of place where we do feel finally genuinely solid and, you know, happy to continue to push towards this. And we do have a more accurate vision or version of what we will be kind of doing in this field in the future, and how roughly it may play out, not holding on to any expectations, because that will only obviously mess us up. But just being confident in the knowledge that one of my favorite quotes from you, the inertia of my existence is just going to carry me through. And I think in that kind of way, if we can set ourselves into motion in that way, if we can start going down a stream that can lead to a bigger ocean, then we can really make some important strides.
Right.
Whereas, unfortunately, a lot of the times, if someone hits a roadblock, that's just them hitting the side of the pond, and they just need to keep bouncing around the pond until they get out onto the stream. Because that stagnation is going to leave you there. If you settle for that now, you've settled for that forever.
Right.
If you take, you know, just a job in something that you don't actually want, you've already made the choice for your future self. You haven't given that opportunity for your future self to even succeed, because you've taken that back from them. You've stolen happiness from the future and brought it into your present.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, not even happiness, like security and comfort and coziness.
All of those things,
My older brother says this thing. He says, be the most engaged but least attached with everything you do. Yeah. So if you're going to do something, just do it. Like, just do it to the top of your ability, but don't put your money into it.
No.
Like, and see where that takes you. In regards to everything, whether you really want to get that girl's number or you really want to get that job, be the most engaged when you go to approach that manager to ask for an interview, but the least attached. If this doesn't go I'm doing the best of my ability, so if it doesn't go my way, even at this level,
you couldn't have done anything differently.
Exactly.
Yeah. And in that way, it really is this mindset of, you know, controlling what we can control and not worrying about anything else.
Yeah.
Because in that way, if we are to concern ourselves too much or too completely with things outside of our control, that is ultimately what leads to an insanity developing, a neuropathy that we can't seem to shake, because it's something that's always there. There's always going to be things outside of our control. Yeah, it's like God complex. Yeah, like thinking that you can control what you can't is going to lead to one of the most likely greatest amounts of suffering in your life, if you don't check it. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like your brother said so pertinently in that kind of quote. I like to call him the big man. Go ahead. The big man, because he's the big man. Was bigger than me, that's for sure. Everyone's bigger than me. Oh, come on now. I'm 6'7", by the way, just in case you're wondering. Continue, Matthew. Okay, enough joking around. This isn't a fun channel. This is a serious channel.
Trying to get... Okay, you gotta hustle. You gotta learn Korean. You gotta play the piano. And then run every day. Because if you don't run, what are you running from, brother? Oh, I'm Hulk Hogan, brother.
One of the best things that your brother said, the big man himself, was that identification of that necessity to engage so fully and completely into whatever it is that you're doing, because that is going to eventually reap, not eventually, in the moment, it's going to reap you better results of how you experience it. So your life quality goes up, but then also you have the highest chance of that outcome working out. So it's a double benefit. That kind of thought process helps you in the now and in the future, which there isn't many things like that.
Yeah, that's the money.
That's the money. That's where you get the best kind of returns for your investment, let's say, into a situation. And it diminishes or completely removes the downside of, being so attached and fixated on this thing that if you don't get it, then you will be distraught and you will be broken as a result of that. I think that is probably a perfect way to conclude what has been an incredible conversation. Again, a sliver, a moment, a snippet of the conversations that we've had. Something that has been a long time in the making, but I've been really glad to be able to sit down, have the conversation, and finally get this out. Get this in concrete. Because
likewise,
it, I think, can be very easy to just let things like this fade away and be like, oh, we'll do it, and then never get around to it. Hano?
Matthew.
Gotta show off that very skinny arm. In case for those people at home that don't know, this is going to be the thumbnail. No, generally, it's been great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and especially because I'm going to South Korea.
You're going to South Korea?
Fuck! You didn't know? I didn't tell him! 감사합니다.
What did you just say? What did you say? This guy was speaking Korean. She.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming on.
No, thank you for having me, Matthew. It's been a pleasure. I love your audience. You guys are the best crowd I've ever been in front of.
All of you guys.
No one does it like Matthew does it. Okay, everybody now. No one does it like Matthew does. Yeah.
Wow, oh my god. Sorry, you guys can't hear it.
And don't forget. Hey, are you still watching? That's surprising, first off. Second off, what are you still doing here? Why aren't you down in the description, clicking on my channel, pressing subscribe? Dummy.
Are you stupid or something?
Dummy.